Hello and welcome to day 6 of the week of pressure. Today we're going to be going through just trying to get some new stuff done, maybe try to get some resets, maybe try to get a player that's going to accept our cues for matchmaking. We'll see. But in the event that today doesn't wind up being against players, which, you know, the week of pressure never was. It's definitely supposed to be, but it was never advertised as such. We got a couple of new things that we're working on. So, I don't remember if I've put this anywhere, but let's see. We can get her to just standing is fine. So I've got a couple of fun new things. So one of them is this. So we got a fun little air throw in the corner. I don't think that I'll be doing that too much because we can get magic, like you lose out on getting magic at the end of the combo. But if the throw hits, you get the magic back anyway, essentially, because whenever you throw with Oleander, you get 1 magic and steal some meter. So we can do a fun little reset there, you know, in the event that we want to try to turn a combo that was otherwise not going to be a big meter steal combo into one where we get the meter steal off of the throw and then at least a single follow-up of her teleport afterwards, which steals a lot of meter. That would be really cool. And then we've got this fun little thing. That's a reset. And we can do, like, let's see here. That will also reset. So we've got a high-low reset there. And then, of course, we can just kind of not do a reset there at all and still get, like, okay damage. So we've got a lot of options there, which I am a fan of. So there's just one additional little reset point that we can also just combo out of if we don't feel like resetting. And I think that these resets are important, not because we want to do them all the time, but we want to establish them so that our opponent is thinking about the resets instead of thinking about how to beat us. So one of the big things that happens in these games, especially like long combo games, is if you never do resets, you just allow your opponent to figure out, okay, what did I get hit by? What do I want to do on incoming? How am I going to be able, you know, like depending upon the game you're playing, what am I going to do when we hit the ground and I tech? Am I going to roll forward? Am I going to roll backwards? And then they have the air tech and we throw them because they were holding down the button. Now they're thinking, oh man, should I hold down the button? Am I going to get caught for it? What's he going to do if I hold down the button and try to tech next time? Like suddenly, we have detracted their thought from how do I beat this player to how do I deal with this setup that they just showed me. And whenever you can do that, you slow down their adaptability, right? You increase their adjustment time. And when you can do that, you can make it so that a player who maybe is better than you, but you happen to have like a gimmick or something that you're hitting them with, now they don't get to think about how to deal with that thing. They have to figure out, alright, if I'm in the corner and he does this dumb thing to me again, what's it this time? Oh, if you tried to tech that, you just got hit. Because you're just going to whiff a tech in the air, and now you got hit by the jab, and suddenly you're getting comboed again. And I believe you will notice that, let's see here, we have ground tech in place, and air tech is backwards, in place, forwards. So they can decide these things, right? So now maybe they're thinking about, oh, I've got to air tech forwards. So now they're holding forwards in the middle of your combo. And now you can just reset them like that. So, like, it's, there's a lot of fun, interesting things that you can do that, I think that that's worth it. You know, if you establish that a little bit, suddenly they're dealing with this weird setup and how to deal with that instead of how to deal with you as a player. And, you know, I'm not great at any of these yet, but I don't think that you have to be, especially at our level at this point in time. You're just going to be trying to come up with new stuff that works, right? We can go back to our old faithful, the fuzzy guard break. And then suddenly they're dealing with all these things, and like, you know, they can't guess right, and now they can't adapt to you because they're trying to deal with your setups instead of dealing with you as a player. They don't have a clue what you're doing in neutral. They kind of understand what you're doing in pressure, but the pressure is resets and not just like, all right, we're waking up, what are we going to do on wake up? When you take that away from somebody, when you force them to put stuff on their mental stack that normally they don't have to deal with, they look a whole lot like we do when we were trying to get this whole thing in the first place, right? When we were trying to do these resets, and we were just instead doing like weird. It was like and then we would just throw out this at the end, and half the time it wouldn't come out and stuff. And I'm still not there yet. Like, we still mess some of these up, so like that doesn't happen all the time, especially because hilariously, if they are blocking, I kind of just freeze, because in Smash Brothers, when they're blocking, you kind of want to freeze and figure out what they're going to do, because you're at disadvantage, like, almost always, and really spacing is the only thing that can save you. So, the funny thing is, of course, if we just do the exact same thing, right, and we do the anti-air into jump AB, and we just try to do that, if they block it, we still get BA. Wow, BA. Excellent. See, this is why I can't do these things. So when we hit them, we do jump B into jump C. But if they block it and we try to jump, we won't. But we'll still get the B and the C afterwards. So it still strings for us, even if they block it. So we don't actually have to care whether or not they blocked it. Really, the only big point of failure here is early push block will make it so that this really tiny move misses, right? It's even shorter than our jab is. So we have to be careful about that, because our opponent can absolutely throw out a push block at that point in time. And then if we just whiff a button here, then we're in trouble, right? So there we go. We're minus 10 if that hits. But the jab also doesn't push us back very far, you see? So if we do it early, like, we have options still if we're close enough. Like, even here, I think, right? Not great, but I think that hit, right? Oh, it did not. We were minus 9 there. Okay, so our opponent can probably hit us there. At least, like, a lot of characters can probably hit us for that. So we have to be careful in a spot right here where it would work if they're not push blocking. Right? That works fine. We hit them. We can go into stuff. We have to be careful about early push block, because if they do it here, then we're in trouble. Now, sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not. And now when we whiff that and we're minus 9, our opponent can probably push a button on us and hit us for a punish, or at the very least check us if we try to push a button afterwards. So there are obviously, when you set it up so that the computer instant blocks, they never screw up. So if we were to do something like try to put a little bit of a gap in between these things so that our opponent has troubles, that could be a really good option against a player that you're not going to see against the push blocking cow that is just always going to block and never going to mess up timing on a push block, because they're doing it after the move hits instead of attempting to predict the move like you have to in a real match. But you can see here that even against the cow that just push blocks perfectly, we take a move that is random, that is normally minus 2 on block, and if they're push blocking that, it suddenly becomes plus 9. So we can definitely do some stuff about that they probably aren't going to like very much, right? Like, I think that push block into try to push a button just loses to jab in the overhead. Let's try that. So if they try to reversal a button here after this push block, oh, they're not gonna do it. Oh, maybe we need to turn this on. All right, training mode. Learn it. Is it good? Okay, there we go. Now if we try to do this, does this just work? Yeah, it actually legitimately keeps them, like, actually for so long that this just doesn't work. But we have a pretty easy... We can even, like, wait for a second. And if we time it right, we just hit. That's really good. So, and then that's a counter hit. So it turns something that normally just doesn't work. Right? Okay, if we make it so that this is never. Why is the farthest one to the left random instead of never? Whatever. So if we do that, that just fails miserably, right? But if they push block there, that additional 25 frames of block stun that they put themselves into, even if they do it as early as possible, still makes it so that all these moves that normally they're having troubles with, like we would have troubles doing crazy stuff afterwards. Now, you know, if they're just push blocking everything, we can just we can rush back in, and suddenly they can't do anything about this, right? So we can push ourselves back in, and now if they try to push a button after that push block, they actually get counter hit. That's kind of nuts. So it's pretty good for us. We can dash back in, press a jab, and we're still plus. So that's pretty good. Or of course, you know, if you want to do the age-old like jab into don't cancel it jab. So sometimes, like with Oleander, it's pretty tough because she can do it on whiff, so she can just do a double hit there regardless. But there's stuff that you can do that normally probably wouldn't work. Like, let's do stand B back into jab. Yeah, so now, I think that just wins. Okay, let's see if we can play somebody. Heck yes. Alright. Maybe we'll get like a decent game or two in first, and we might be able to try some of the stuff out that we want to do. Let's find out. Let's see if this player accepts. Okay. I also just want to make this one to show why my week of pressure has been so difficult. This has pretty much been my life. What is this now? Like 10-ish minutes? I was actually sitting in the queue for probably about 10 to 15 minutes before this. So we've been sitting in queue for 20 minutes. I haven't gotten a single player yet. Obviously, I was trying to jump in and cash in on the hype of 2.0 coming out to make it so that there would be more players. But we've already gotten to a point where I think a lot of players who either returned or picked up the game for the first time off of the 2.0 hype have either left or are probably, and we're gonna do a side notes for this one for sure. They are probably, check out how nice. Look at how nice Them's Fighting Herds is. They're probably on this Discord, finding stuff in matchmaking, which we are probably going to have to start doing. So after this week of, we'll probably do our next side notes on finding a community, because we're at that point where we really want to do that. And then check this out, we got the Cool Stampede tournament. I don't think I've got a conflict this month, so I might try to do a little, like, enter our first big tournament for Them's Fighting Herds and just play and expect we're going to get 0-2'd, but hey, who cares? We're going to be able to see how online tournaments work. I've never really done that before, so I'll get to see how that works. We'll be able to just sort of do some fun things and figure out how the tournament works and be able to play in a tournament setting where instead of trying to learn, we are, in fact, just trying to win. So we'll see how that goes. I want to do a couple more weeks of stuff first. I'm not sure exactly when the next one is. I think it's somewhere in the middle here of April or of May, so a couple more weeks. We can probably try to get in our combo week, where the week is pretty much just going to consolidate into one big combo video that we do. So I'll probably be uploading a whole lot less because I'm going to be like looking at stuff, and I might go through how I create this combo video, just looking at players and looking at matches and trying to lab stuff out in training mode, and that'll kind of be what we do. But I want to do that, and then I want to do creating a game plan, because at the very least, before we start a tournament, I want to have a game plan. So that's kind of my plan here. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that today we're going to have to accept that this is just not happening. This has been happening several days in a row, and I've just like been trying on and on and on 2 or 3 times every single day for just about this long to try to get a match so that I can make a video, and here we are, right? So, oh well. But yeah, that's the new thing we're working on. Color is everything. Color is everything. Where are we? We got mixed up. Alright, there we go, we're back. So I'm just trying to learn new things and figure out what I want to do here. And just learn new setups and stuff and make it so that we can try to... That went like straight through her head, didn't it? Alright, but just try to figure out new pressure and stuff that we can do, because, you know, like A, B, C, sweep, fireball is okay, or like, you know, the occasional A, B, C into overhead, A, B, C into 6B is like a decent mix-up, but eventually it becomes a true 50-50 where your opponent is ready for it. And even worse, both of those moves, this one 20 frames, this one 23 frames, are both reactable. So the low is kind of hard to react to, but possible, and this one, the turnaround, is a very obvious, very fast telegraph of what you're doing, because the character turns around and you get an audio cue. It's a little late for the audio cue, which is nice, so you don't get it right away, because you actually react faster to audio cues than visual cues. But, like, eventually, strong opponents, that's more like a 40-60 in their favor, if that's the only mix-up you have, because they're going to be ready for it. They're going to know the only 2 options that they have to deal with. They can even try to do some cheeky stuff like push block at exactly the right time to turn this into not even a real, right? Like, they don't even have to actually block that correctly anymore, I don't think. Let's see. If we have the block type to be only low, and then we just go for it. Okay, that still hits, barely. But if they block... So the computer blocks on frame 1. If your opponent blocks a little bit later into that, they'll still be in absolute guard territory, where they can just block both your high and your low there, so it's not even a mix-up anymore once you've gotten to that point. So you've got to mix a bunch of stuff up, because eventually your 50-50s stop being 50-50s if you don't have variety. So that's what I'm working on now, is variety. That's why, like, we're trying things that we're not very good at, and we're even, like, losing games and not paying attention to our opponent when we really should be, at least if we were trying to win, because we need to turn these things into just autopilot options. If I decide, oh, okay, I'm going to go for the anti-air thing here, and if I hit, then I'll go into my reset, and if I don't, then we'll just get the pressure that we normally get off of it, you know, anti-air, B, C, fireball, whatever. And right now, I think that in my brain, I'm like, alright, I'm gonna go for it, and I do like, and then I get hit. So, like, that's why we gotta force ourselves and push ourselves to do something that's making us worse temporarily, for a little while, in order to get better. So that's kind of where we are in pressure. This is why I'm not good with pressure, because, like, with blocking, if I want to try to instant block, I know what I'm doing, I know what I want to do, I'm going to get it. If I want to try to push block, I know what I'm doing, I know what I want to do, I'm going to get it. I have small troubles with alpha countering, because I don't do that very often, but it's basically the same as push blocking. It wouldn't take me an incredible amount of time to deal with that and do well with it and get it when I want it, but we just don't use that option very often. And as Oleander, we should probably consider it, since she gets so much meter. But this into, like, a jump combo, if they don't block it, where we get the, like, jump A into jump C, and then we just do stuff afterwards, I'm not used to that. And you have to delay the jump C so that it's got more plus frames, so right there you see we're 21. So if we just do it, if we just go for it right away, you see we're only plus 16. Our opponent can actually still mash on the overhead, and it doesn't work. So not only am I doing this jump, but I've got this, like, delay that I've got to do, so that it's, like, plus a billion like that, so that we can just go for these and it'll work. So there's a lot of little, like, intricacies of that I'm not good with, that I'm much better at when I'm, like, trying to instant block, because I know kind of the timings and the patterns of a lot of players' moves and stuff, and I pick those up a lot faster because of my experiences. So that's what we're doing right now. We're just trying to get better at more options, because a lot of pressure is making it so your opponent doesn't know what's coming next, because if they do, it's never a 50-50. And I think that since we just cannot get a match to save our lives today, we're just gonna give up and call this day 6. And yeah, we'll try again. I might even have to do a stud side notes first about matchmaking and see if I can have better luck in the Discord before we do day 7. When we do that, I hope to see you there.